Hi everyone, welcome to How to Immigrate to Canada. My name is Marilyn Quintana. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant and I'm here today to tell you 5 great tips if you want to immigrate to Canada. Before we start, just don't forget to subscribe to the channel, so click on the little bell as well so you can receive notifications on our weekly updates. And don't forget to leave us a comment as well and tell us about your plans, where you're from, when you wanted to come to Canada. So the first great tip that we're going to bring to you, it is improve your English. I know that this is not new and you probably know that it is important, but I'm here to reaffirm that it's very, very important. First, because there are a lot of immigration programs that you can apply even from back home, and if you have advanced English skills and you have a good result in your proficiency test, you can eventually immigrate directly from your country of residency without having to come to Canada on a temporary visa, for example. So English or French is the key for you to have like good chances to even apply from back home. Also, if your plan requires studying in Canada, you still have to have a very good English skills. Not as good as to immigrate directly, but still you need at least an intermediate advanced, a upper intermediate level for you to be able to be enrolled at the school, a good school. That's going to be good on your resume, for example. And some countries, when we do the visa application, does require the proficiency test to be included in the application package. So it is very, very important to show that you have good English. Also, there are a lot of venues that you can use to come and work in Canada. And if you can explore one of those venues, you are going to get a good job if you have good English, if you're going to have an entry-level job if you don't have good English skills, right? So the options to immigrate to Canada and to live here permanently are way better when you have a good job. So another reason for you to brush it up your English skills is study hard because it's very, very, very important. And I know that I'm saying about English because I think it's the most common language, but the same applies to French as well. So if you have more ability to speak French than English, to learn more French than English, the same thing. Like French can be a very useful language to have when you are applying for immigration, when you're applying to study, in this case in Quebec, for example, and may help you to land a job in Canada faster. Okay? The second tip is to do your research. Know all the challenges to live in another country. I know that a lot of people think that Canada is a dreamland, and in my opinion, in lots of aspects, it is indeed a very nice country to live, but you do have challenges to come, to adapt, and you have to consider all this in order to make a good decision when selecting the city that you want to live and understanding the social and cultural aspects that you are going to have to know in order to integrate well the community. And of course, if you're coming to a place that's hotter or colder than you live, you have to know that you have to adapt. You have to adapt to be far away from your family and friends and be ready to make new friends and build your own family in Canada. And all of this, it is an adventure. It is great, but it's also scary. So be prepared emotionally because it is very important for you to know that it is going to be challenging. However, it is going to be a very nice experience, I'm sure about it. The third tip for you guys to consider is finding the right process. Canada has several federal programs and also several provincial programs. So imagine, Canada has 10 provinces and 3 territories, and every province or territory has at least 5 immigration options. Okay, so it is more than 6 options altogether, and there is no kind of thing that one solution fits all. Every country is different, every person is different, every family context is different. You need to consider the right information about your background, what aspects are more important for you when making this decision to move to Canada, How about the money? How about the requirements of each program? How about when you wanted to be here? And all these are important information that you have to consider when choosing the right process. So it's very common that people only consider what they heard the most or what the friend or the neighbor did and they want to do the same. Don't do that, because what suits the family of your friend eventually does not suit your family, right? So we need to consider what's best for you. Do your own research and make sure that you find the right process for you and your family. Fourth great tip it is to know the right documents, the cost, and the deadlines that are required throughout the process. And what I'm saying here, it is not only to know the deadlines, for example, of the government, what's the processing time, when you have to submit the application, when you are expecting an answer. It's not only that. All your planning have to have a deadline. So if you have to prepare, for example, a translation of a document, give yourself the time and give yourself a deadline to make sure you have all the documents ready for your process. For example, if you have to get the English proficiency test and you have to get certain scores, give yourself the time to study and give yourself the time to take the test maybe once, twice, 3 times, but put that in your planning, allowing you to have that trial and try again and study a little bit more, but make sure that you forecast this, because it can be very frustrating as well if you find things on the way that you have to do, for example, new documents that you didn't prepare for, or things that cost more that you didn't prepare for. And also, if like it's something that you were just dreaming, you wanted to make it happen, but you didn't give yourself a deadline, you don't have like a time that you wanted to complete this, it's just a dream. It is not a project. So make sure that you treat your plan to move to Canada as a project. List everything that you need, put all the dates there, prepare a budget, considering even as we do in projects, like you have to have some kind of emergency budget in case of, if I need to do again, if I need to extend the time for any reason of my planning, if something goes wrong and I cannot see because, I have some information, but eventually I'll have some surprise on the way. Be ready. Knowledge is the key to have a good flow for your transition and also to keep your expectations at the right place, because if you don't know exactly what's happening, also the level of anxiety comes up, you get more stressed, you get irritated, you get frustrated. So plan, know everything, and this is very, very, very essential to make things right. So the last tip of this video, and probably the most important one, is planning. And when it comes to planning, you have to make sure that your source is right? So there are a lot of information on the internet, even here on YouTube, but a lot of people are just speaking from what they heard, speaking from their experience. So make sure if you are listening to somebody, if you're following somebody, that person is licensed, or even better, make sure that you have all the information from the real source, which is Canadian government website. If you decided to follow somebody or hear somebody, don't hear only people that are speaking from their experience. Find people that are licensed immigration consultant or lawyers. And in order for you to make sure that you are working with the right people, there is a link that you can search by their first name or last name or location even, and you can confirm if they are licensed, if they are active, if they don't have any issue with their profession. It seems scary to say that, but there is something what we call ghost consultants, which people that fake that they have license, that fake that they have ability to do, and they charge people a lot of money and they never deliver. So eventually, if you don't do this, you can lose a lot of money. You eventually can lose the opportunity to come to Canada. You can see your dream fading away, and that's not something that we want, right? So make sure that if you decide to work with somebody, I do think it's a good idea. I do think that's a good investment to make, because if you know in a shorter period of time what to do, what exactly need to be done, what's the right process for our family. Eventually you save time, you save money, and it is a good idea to work with somebody if you decide to do so, but make sure that you choose the right person, okay? So in my opinion, that were the 5 great tips that were important for you to have when considering moving to Canada. If you want to leave any other tip for those who are seeing this video, make sure to leave your comment below, or if you have questions, ideas of new videos, feel free to send to us and we'll be happy to consider for the next videos. Thank you very much for watching. I see you next time.